behaviors and relationships. Today we will talk about relationships and how our belief systems significantly impact the level of the relationship. There was a book published by Nav Publishing Company in 1999 entitled Rockin' the Rose. In fact, this is actually a copy of the book written by Robert Lewis and William Hendricks. And they are very emphatic that the days of Ozzie and Harriet relationships are over. Lewis and Hendricks are equally emphatic that the 50-50 shared relationships of the 70s and 80s were at best confusing, very unsatisfying, and honestly quite impractical. 50-50 is not the way to go in a relationship. Here's the question. What are your beliefs about roles, headship, love, sex, children, family, providing within a relationship? What are your belief systems according to where you originated about family? Most people have beliefs. It's honestly immaterial to discuss whose belief is better than another person's belief when it comes to relationship. The challenge is to examine the beliefs, whether they are good or bad. The word belief really comes from a word pathos, which means to persuade. So beliefs are really those things that we have been persuaded with a serious conviction to not only believe, but also to embrace. Beliefs are one's perspective or the conviction of what is good, what is bad, or not important, or what is important. Personal or family, social or environmental beliefs are not surrendered, modified, or even examined very easily. So those things that we truly embrace, the beliefs, the pathos, those things that we are persuaded are facts, regardless of if the facts are good or bad, most people do not separate from those very easily. Belief conflict in a relationship is driven by misplaced loyalty, especially when those beliefs are of a dysfunctional nature. Every person possesses both rational and irrational beliefs, some more irrational than others. So I want you to understand, when we talk about beliefs, everybody has them, whether they are good or whether they are bad. Who taught you your beliefs? Who taught you your beliefs about behaviors and relationships? When you began to place a name to the teacher, here are 5 questions or 5 things to ponder about your teacher of behaviors and beliefs as it relates to relationships. Number 1, what did you see in the person who taught you? Number 2, what did you hear from the person who taught you? Number 3, what did they say? Now, there's a difference between what you saw, what you heard, and the critical question is, what did they say to you? Number 4, how did they act? Number 5, how were they received by you? So when you look at your beliefs in relationships today, always ask yourself these questions in terms of your teacher, your model. What did you see in them? What did you hear from them? What did they say to you and to others that they were modeling around? How did they act toward you, and how did they act toward those that you observed them modeling with? And how were they received? Not just by you, but how were they really embraced by those to whom you observe them practicing their beliefs? Beliefs, or how it is seen, is based on several things. Depth. How deeply rooted is the belief? How deeply rooted is your belief? Illusions. What are you led to see from the person or the things that you embrace or are persuaded to embrace? Form. How beliefs are packaged and repackaged. In other words, how do you reformulate what you believe in order to keep believing it? Perception of motion. How belief is accepted while at the same time ignoring the facts. Perception, according to most, is really the battle. So how are you able to keep ignoring the facts? We call it rationalization. How do you rationalize the perception of what you believe in order to keep practicing that belief? Constancy. How belief is continually played out or even sought out affirmations internally or externally. In other words, how do you keep reinforcing the belief system that you have embraced about relationships? That is going to vary from person to person to person. What did you see in the person? How valued was the person? Or how valued did you want that person to be? Sometimes people will hold on to beliefs kind of as a memorial to a person that honestly they didn't embrace a lot. There could be a love-hate relationship between the person and the belief system. On one hand, you wanted the person to embrace you, but everything that you saw, that you heard the person say, the behaviors that were acted out, they contradicted solid beliefs. But in order to keep embracing the person, you must somehow fabricate a lifestyle of depth, illusion, form, perception, and constancy that somehow makes that person and what they have taught you congruent to your belief system. In the book of Romans chapter 14 and verse number 5, belief, according to the Apostle Paul, is a complete conviction. And when you see people that are fully convicted in something, whether it's good or bad, it is very difficult to move an individual away from that belief. Listen to the text of Romans 14 and verse number 5. One man esteemeth one day above another. Another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. The Apostle Paul is simply saying, when it comes to eating meat or not eating meat, observing or not observing specific days, celebrations, it's really not germane to New Testament Christianity. But there were people who were actually in verbal turmoil about what they should and what they should not do based on a formulated belief. And yet Paul says, let every man be completely, totally, without wavering, fully persuaded. That term persuade is where we get the word belief or conviction. So in essence, he's saying make sure that your conviction, whether you do it or not, is full, complete. And as we discuss how you formulate beliefs, sometimes you must go and debate with yourself regarding the people that model to you what you're now embracing in your relationships. A question to raise. Are my relationships